like Sharon, important. How was to decide to leave Sabbath and to start up like a solo career? Was it difficult for you, or how did you feel like?
I'd left Sabbath, I'd gone back to Sabbath, I'd left Sabbath, I'd gone back to Sabbath, and then in the end they fired me, and it was.
You got fired from
yeah, but it was It was. I got fired, but then I wasn't really. I wanted to get fired. I wasn't really unhappy. Well, I was, but I wasn't. It's kind of. It's like when you're married to someone or you have a relationship with someone and you don't want to be with that person anymore, but then you don't know what it's going to be like, if it's going to be any worse without them. Because just as successful as I became, I could have gone the other way. I could have gone right down the toilet, and just been over. So there's that to be. I mean. Without Black Sabbath, there wouldn't be Ozzy, and without an Ozzy, there wouldn't have been a Black Sabbath. So, how the two things? I can't take all the credit because after I departed from Sabbath, I had a few good albums with Dio and Mob Rules, Heaven and Hell. They were good albums, but I don't really know what they were. I'm so into what I'm doing, and I'm so.
Did you pay attention for their music, like for their last albums? Did you hear it?
I never heard any of it. Never. I don't listen to it because it's
rivalry.
No, it's not even rivalry. I mean, one thing I will say, and I've always said this, and whatever anybody wants to say about Black Sabbath versus Ozzy, Ozzy versus Black Sabbath, there's one thing that I've always said, that there's not a man on this earth that has created such heavier riffs than Tony Iommi continuously for so long. I don't know about what he's doing now, but in his day, he was the king of riffs.
What about Osmosis? It's going to be released. What has changed musically talking? You said psychedelic?
It's kind of like, it's heavy, but some of it's not so heavy. Some of it's very, very, what I try to do on all my albums is, I like to think there's a song on the album for everyone. There's some very heavy stuff, there's some very light stuff, there's some psychedelic stuff, there's some kind of weird stuff.
Some ballads too.
Yeah. There's a song I've written about my son. It's called My Little Man. It's played. I originally wrote it with Steve Vai, but Zach on a sitar. And it's really an interesting. I love experimenting. These albums are very much of an experimentation. Plus the fact Michael Beinhorn is a very good producer.
Do you like the bands that he produced, like the Chili Peppers? And...
I like the Chili Peppers. I really like the Soundgarden album. The Soundgarden.
Very Sabbath.
It's just the quality of the album. The Super Unknown album, really good album. I like the Chili Peppers. I like Aerosmith.
What about Michael Beinhorn? Like, did he talk a lot for you? Oh, do you do that or?
Well, it's kind of like. You don't get a dog and bark yourself. It's like if I get a guy to produce me, then he produces me, but I have a picture in my head and have to give in to his thoughts, you know. So Once I want a good producer a record, but I can't do it myself, so I get somebody, but then I still want to do it myself, and I can't. So it's like I'm never happy with anything that I do. I'm my own worst critic, because I think that people often ask me, Ozzy, which is your best song, which is your best album? And I always say I haven't made it yet, because if I make it, then there's no other challenge.
You think so?
If I go, yeah, this is faultless, there's nothing wrong with it, I like absolutely everything about it, what's the point? You can't top the top. You can't get higher than the top. So I always think, well, that could have been louder, that could have been quieter, that could have been more, and that could have been less, you know. So, I mean, the nearest album, even so, I was going to say the nearest album I like so far, up to Osmosis, was No More Tears, but even still, No More Tears, I dissected it and said, no, that should have been there, that should have been there, you know.
I felt like, when he talks about Alice, he always says, oh, this is Vincent and there is an Alice. What about Ozzy? There is a John and there is an Ozzy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think every performer is schizo. Every performer is a schizophrenic in the respect that when we go on that stage, we turn into the creation that we created in our mind. If I was to be Ozzy off stage, I would be in a crazy habit.
What do you have in common, like John and Ozzy? A lot?
No. Night and day, nothing. I mean, John is okay, you know. Ozzy is just lunatic. He's just totally insane, crazy.
Like the Back of the Moon video, like
yeah.
That kind of guy.
Yeah. Anything goes. Well, I mean, the more crazy the people go, the more crazy Ozzy goes, you know. And I like to think like Ozzy. There's a little bit of Ozzy in everyone. Everybody would like to be Ozzy for an hour, you know, for once in their life.
Like the wide side.
Just break all the rules, you know. I hate rules. I hate organization. I hate authority. I hate armies. I hate anything military. I just like to, it's like a little bit of a demon inside me that wants to go out to play now. It's good fun.
We found you, or were you?
I went to school.
You had a band with Geezer Bottle before.
So I was in a band called Rare Breed with Geezer. Tony was in a band called, No. Mythology. He had a band called Mythology, and they broke up, and I broke up with Geezer, and we formed. And originally, Black Sabbath was a six-piece. We used to play jazz blues. We had a bottleneck slide guitar player, saxophone player, Tony, Geezer, Bill, and me. We used to just play bars and pubs and clubs in Germany. Just blues stuff, and we just evolved from that, you know. But it's just been, I mean, I've had such an incredible life. It's just an amazing, I mean, there's so much, people say to me, come to me and they say, Ozzy, do you remember when this happened? I go, wow, I forgot all about that, you know, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, you were just telling me you had Alice Cooper in here yesterday. I remember when we toured with Alice Cooper in the 70s, and talk about freaks, man. He used to have the original freaks follow him around. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It I think what happened along the way, it got more serious, you know. And you can't be serious and have fun. It's just, the bottom of the line is, I go up there on the stage and I try to have fun. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When I make a record, I want to have fun. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I just go with my heart, you know. And when I go and perform, I give my audience my heart. And I'm not one of these performers that's like, you know, it's your privilege that I'm up here. I am privileged that they're there to see me. I mean, if there's one guy in the audience, I need to come to see me perform, and he's bought a ticket, I'll play for him.
Did you start, like, think about more theatrical?
Theatrical
thing, like.
Well, that was my wife. My wife comes from a very musical family. Her father was in vaudeville. She was a childhood actress, and she was. I mean, if you remember when I was with Sabbath, I would just stand there in the corner singing. Yeah. But she said to me, "Here's a microphone with no lead. Run." I thought, what do I do? Just run around, just play the thing. I mean, behind every great man there is a great woman, and my wife is certainly a great woman. She was she made me catapult into this whole new world, because I would hold onto my microphone with Sabbath for security. Now, it's like when you get a child that learns to walk, you hold him by the hands and you let him go and he starts to walk. And she taught me to walk. She just told me to work my way, and I always wanted to, but I was afraid. Because with Sabbath, it was very restrictive, because Tony and Alma would get down on you if you did something out of the unusual, because it wasn't the vibe. Boring.
Kind of boss of the band.
It was like he had a philosophy of all for one and all for me, you know.
Were you married?
Yeah, I was married.
Sabbath.
Yeah,
you were in Sabbath.
Another wife.
Oh, another wife. When did you get married?
13 years ago.
And then
she has got me into this theatrical thing, and I was very against it at first, but then looking back, I mean, I realised how much of an impact it had on the industry, because like everybody started to do the same, you know. But even before that, even before Ozzy, Alice Cooper was doing that theatrical shit years ago. I mean, 72, Alice was cutting his head up and hanging and stabbing people and all this. I mean, when we toured with Alice Cooper, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. So, I mean, I can't really take the credit for having his theatrical stuff. If anybody should, it should be Alice Cooper, because he was the one that started the whole snake. I mean, when we were on the road, he lost his snake at one place, and the hotel was out in the car park looking with his snake that he'd lost. They found it in someone's bed.